Have you ever tried to achieve something and halfway through you thought, I can't do it. I don't have what it takes to get me to the end? Well, if that's you, you're not alone. We've all been through it. We've all had goals and dreams that we want to achieve and had this feeling that we don't have what it takes to see it to the end. Today's conversation is about perseverance. Perseverance is that fighting determination that you see something through to the end till you get an outcome. So, how do you do that? How do you do that? I believe perseverance is a skill set that we acquire over time. So, Kevin and I are going to be sharing with you what it takes to have that mindset of perseverance. How are you, Kevin, today?
I'm excellent. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Excellent. Good. Yeah, perseverance, that's a big one. It's incredibly important. And I don't think people realize how important it is just in your ability to achieve the goals that you set yourself up to do, right? So I agree.
Absolutely. I
Good
can't think
conversation.
of perseverance without thinking about what it means in sports. There's
Yeah.
something, I love sports. I love competitive sports like the Olympics, for example.
Hmm.
And in any category, whether 100 meters, swimmers, gymnasts, cyclists, I always wonder what it takes because they're in a body just like mine, what it takes to have the fighting spirit and determination to push yourself, to go against all the resistance that's come up, sometimes even pain, physical
Hmm.
pain in the body, and
Yeah.
keep going. So, what's your personal journey with perseverance? How has it showed up in your life? When have you experienced it? And have you been able to get the results?
I think well, through my life, I think I've had a number of different instances when perseverance really made a difference. And I think, when I look back into the beginning of my life when I was a kid, like I was, 15 years old and um, had to leave my house because of issues with my stepfather and such. And then, at 15, you're not really prepared to be living on your own and you don't have a lot of the resources that are
No.
required to, have an apartment and things like that. So I literally, um, when it happened, I thought like, what is it that I need to do or what do I want to do? And I really wanted to finish school. Like I wanted to finish high school because I was just starting and I knew I didn't have a job and I didn't have, the ability to get a place to live. So I really like I was couch surfing for the longest time by just staying at people's places whose parents let me stay there, without thinking that I was some kind of street kid. And that was I found that to be really hard and it was really depressing because you're like, these people have these wonderful families and everything, and you're just some slug that, you know, is out on the street basically. So but I did it and you know, my goal was like I really wanted to finish high school. That like if nothing else, that's I just wanted to get that done and then worry about it after, right? Like whatever is gonna happen after that. So I spent several months couch surfing and it was hard. It was, difficult to hold your head up high and understand that like for me it was horrible. It was really draining and depressing and I didn't feel like I fit in with other kids and things like that, but my goal was to finish school and that's what I did. So I went to school every single day. I never missed any. And then once school started, I was really big in theater arts, and I used to participate in a lot of activities there. And a big thing in the high school, we had this like amazing theater arts teacher, and in those days, like they were called portables, and they're just like one room classrooms that were detached from the school because there was no room in the school for them. And one of those we used as like our theater arts portable, and we would hold plays there and rehearsals and everything. And if anybody that was in theater arts, that's where the class was and stuff. That was really cool. And build sets and things like that. So I really helped a lot, and I spent a lot of time doing that because it occupied my time, but it also gave me a bit of a purpose, and I enjoyed it, and it took my mind off of my present situation. I eventually did get part-time jobs to make some extra cash and things like that, which was good. But after a while of actually being in high school, I decided that this portable was a perfect little apartment for me. So I just decided that I would start camping out in the portable at night, and I would hop the
Wow.
fence and go into the portable because I had a key because I was helping with set design and all that. And so I would go at night, when I finished work or whatever else I was doing, and I would just go into the portable, and I had a sleeping bag and everything there, and I had it all packed up in a box. Nobody knew where it was there. And then I used to sleep there. And then in the morning, I would get up because the school would open about 6:30 when the maintenance people came. And I would go in, and I would have a shower in the gym and stuff like that. So it was like, so that's what I did. And I left clothes at different places like friends and stuff like that. And I would just go at some point in the daytime, like after school or whatever, before dinner, and get a change of clothes or whatever, right? And then bum whatever meal I could get off of some parent that was cooking something that smelled good. Um, but I did that for actually a couple of months, and then I got caught by the teacher. His name was Mr. Herchabees, and he's just like, he didn't say anything, like he knew what was going on, and he didn't say anything at first. And then one day when we were alone, he just said, "I want to talk to you," and he asked me, "I know you're staying here. Like, I know you're sleeping here at night. What's going on with you?" Right. And I explained the situation about, I had an abusive stepfather. He was a horrible human being and really difficult to live with, and was not kind in any way whatsoever. Um, and then he said to me, "This is ridiculous. You will come and live with our family." Right. And this guy, so he was married, he had 6 kids, and
Wow.
I think four of them were in the same school, like in high school. And I was like, "Are you serious? Like, you already have 6 kids. That's crazy." But he said, "No, absolutely, you're going to come and live with us as long as you need to." Right. And I thought, "Oh, this is great. Like, I can actually stay here." And that was like such a huge uh thing for me, because I really wanted to finish school, and it was important to me, and it was literally killing me to live the way I was living, because it's not a very good way to live. But I kept doing it, and I kept, pushing through and pushing through. And I think that made all the difference in the world, and it gave me the belief that I could do whatever I wanted to do. And I did finish school, and I ended up working um during school, and I had a really good part-time job. I worked in a factory, allowed me to save a lot of money. Um, and then ultimately, when I finished high school, I moved, and I lived in Toronto. But it was because of that I really felt like I was indestructible and I could do whatever I wanted to do. But I mean, it wasn't easy. I spent a lot of time crying and a lot of time just feeling completely worthless, because I didn't belong anywhere, and I didn't have my family, and I felt betrayed by my mother. Like, at that time it was a
Mm.
different story. Like, I certainly don't feel that way now, but at the time, because I didn't understand the whole situation. Uh, but because I stuck it out and I did what I did, I was lucky, and and somebody reached out and gave me a helping hand, and I appreciate it. To this day, I'm very thankful that that happened to me. Um, so yeah, you know that just gave me such an amazing amount of belief in myself, and the fact that I could overcome all these obstacles. And I've faced many more in my lifetime, and I've had some very big successes in my life, and I've had some very massive failures in my life, right? But every time I look back on that and I think, what, I can do this. I can pull through it, and I can do it, and I just keep banging away at it. And one of the things that I use so much in my coaching is helping people realize that they do have the ability to push through some really difficult situations, and some really, like, when you feel like, it's when you get to the point where I can't do this anymore, and you're just broken, like literally broken, is when you have to get your most strength, because if you can get through that, you can do anything. Like, you literally can do whatever the hell you want with your life, right? And you know that you can do that, and you just keep pushing through, and you get there, and you get what you want to do. And through my lifetime of reading, and different books on motivation and accomplishing things, I did learn a few things along the way. And one is, perseverance is key to success. And there's a saying that 10,000 hours makes you an expert in whatever it is you choose to do, right? So I don't know, for some people 10,000 hours, that's like a very long period of time. But when you think about it, think about people like you said that you were really attracted to sports and the Olympics. So think of somebody in the Olympics who decides, I'm going to be the fastest, 800-meter swimmer ever, right? And then they decide that that's what they're going to do. And what do they have to do to acquire that? They every single day, 4, 5, 6 hours a day swimming, like at 3 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the
Mm.
morning, going to school, having lunch, going to school again, and then after school, going back to the pool and swimming and swimming and swimming and swimming. And it's all about persevering and doing better and better and better every single time, increasing your number, increasing your ability, and everything. It's the same thing with sales. Like when I've had people that I've coached that are in sales, and they're just like, "This is pointless. I can't. It's never going to happen." Right? It does happen. It doesn't always happen when you think it's going to happen. Sometimes you have to make 100 calls. Sometimes you have to make 120 calls. Sometimes you have to make 200 calls. But if you don't continue doing it and give up, you will never know that what you
Mm.
could have accomplished because you quit. And quitting is just not an option. That's what perseverance is all about. You're not allowed to quit. And it's a very important thing to develop, a very important skill to have, and it's a life changer for anyone that wants to endeavor into it. So there you go.
Heaven. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that story about you. Looking at you, I feel like you had a completely different upbringing, mom, dad, a white
Mm,
picket fence. But
yeah, I
it's
wish.
really good to know firsthand also that what is that saying? Whatever you go through, you grow through it. And at such a young
Hmm.
age, you had such strong willpower to persevere what was effectively homelessness, right? To be able to,
Hmm.
couch surf and
Yeah.
create a living environment for yourself until you had a permanent place. But also, I admire your perseverance to continue studying, irrespective of what was happening for you, because most kids, at the first option, will quit school, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They will ditch, they will ditch school. But here you are, 15, in a displacement, not with the family, missing that sense of belonging, and you still had the determination. So I want to ask you something about that. What kept you going to school? Was it because you saw yourself with a different reality? You were set your vision on who you were meant to become, or you just generally enjoyed school?
I did not enjoy school. I enjoyed the entertainment of school, but school itself, I did not enjoy. I really struggled with it, and it was difficult for me. But I know, I come from a large family, and then when my mother remarried, my father died when I was very young, and we had 5 kids, and then my mother married somebody who had also 5 kids. Um, so in my
Wow.
family,
So 10 kids, you all live together?
for a very short period of time. So, um,
10.
but I do know that, like, with my older siblings, my sister and my brother, like none of them finished high school, for whatever reason, right? Like my older brother, a lot of issues, and actually my whole family, like there's a ton of issues, right? But for whatever reason, like everybody has a different reason for going through what they go through, and I know that they didn't finish school, so it was very important for me to finish high school to make sure that I had that, and I wanted my mother to be proud of me,
Mm.
but I also, my father, he was a big driving factor in my life, even though he passed away when I was 10. All the times, like all the things that I remember about my father is always, they're all good and happy. And those moments, like, I've had friends say to me, like, why are you so you're always so happy, and you're always, you know, full of energy and everything like that. Like, I would be so bitter if my life was like yours, right? And I'm like, what's the point of that? What is the point of being bitter? And I used to remember, like, just how all the wonderful little things that happened to me in that short 10 years of my life that involved my father and my mother. My father and my mother were like madly in love with each other. It was a beautiful love story. And that's where I feel like I got the understanding of what love was about and what it meant, and what a relationship was supposed to be like, right? Because it was so functional and so happy. Um, and I think that had a lot to do with what happened in the aftermath of my brother and things like that, because this perfect existence was devastated by his death, and so many things, happened afterwards, right? Um, and and I think of that all the time. Always, I think, it doesn't matter what I've accomplished in my life. Like, I think I've had an amazing life just because of the experiences that I've had, good and bad, right? But I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful for it, and I think that's what does it. Like, it's just those things that you believe in. If you believe that you want something and you believe that you deserve something, then you have the perseverance and the ability to go after it and do it, right? um in anything, it doesn't matter what it is, right? Every person that wants to do something, if you do it and you go after it, you'll get it. That's how it works.
I love that you, at the age of 15, even though you weren't at home anymore, your fighting spirit and ambition came from the very people who put you out the house, which is you wanted to make your mother proud of you,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
So that's powerful.
Hmm.
Does that
It
mean
was.
that you agreed to the decision that life is better for you and them if you live outside the home, if you
Yeah, like,
still
I
can?
don't, it didn't really work that way. It was more violent than that, but it was more like, I think, what I didn't understand at the time, obviously, were all the dynamics of the relationship that my mother and my stepfather had, and what situation my mother was actually in at the time. So it was it was determination caused by him, because there was no way on earth I was going to not finish school so that he could call me a dropout. There was no way that I wasn't going to survive so that he could say I was a loser, right? So it was all of those things. It was all about, like, you're not, you've done enough to me, because he was a horrible person. Like, he was, you know, he would say things to me that were very hurtful and, derogatory because of my persuasion and things like that. And I just thought, you know what, I'm not going to let somebody like that take me down, and I'm not. And it was really like out of spite that drove me to do what I did, just so that he could never say, like, haha, right? Like, I knew
Mm.
you wouldn't be able to do it, or I knew you'd be a loser, right? And I just wouldn't allow that to happen. Um, so that it was more driven by that, I think, initially, right? And then eventually it all evened out. Like, and we never ever got along, and he was never a nice person. But my relationship with my mother evolved as it should have. And when I understood, the situation that my mother was in, that allowed that situation to happen, that she couldn't do anything at the time to change that situation, right? So it was okay.
Um, I love the quote that says, "The best revenge is massive success."
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you use perseverance as your superpower to prove your stepfather wrong.
Hmm.
That your
Yeah.
opinion of me has nothing to do with me, is not your reality, and that
Exactly.
you're able to use perseverance to build a new identity for yourself, which
Yeah.
was not this dropout and the narrative that he was giving you. So if somebody's watching right now and their mindset or their spirit is weak, what do they need to start focus on to get that perseverance?
I think you need to. A really, really important thing is, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to understand that whatever, it doesn't matter what it was, but there are things that every single person has done and accomplished and succeeded at. And it doesn't, if every single person, that was a kid that was exposed to having a bike learned how to ride a bike, right? It was just, that's what you did. So that's an accomplishment, right? It doesn't matter how far back you have to go to find that accomplishment, but that's what you have to do. You have to find out, realize what you've accomplished so far. Like, if you've if you've gone through the death of a family member, if you've had massive surgery, if you failed at something and got back up and did it again, those are the things that you have to put in your head and understand that you are capable of overcoming those things. It's when you hit that wall and decide, you know what, this wall is stronger than me, and this wall is going to stop me from doing what I want to do. And that can't be, like, it cannot happen. You have to just stand there and knock that thing down, because you deserve the goal that you set for yourself. You deserve to achieve that. And it doesn't matter what it is. There's nothing that a human being is not capable of doing. And there are millions and millions and millions of ways that you can be knocked down, but it's up to you as a person to get back up and understand that there for every time that you fail, there's 5 different ways to do it the correct way. For every time that somebody punches you in the face, there's a different way for you to get over that, right? Like, it is what it is, and it's up to you to not let people do that to you, or someone's opinion of you do that to you, because it doesn't matter. You have the strength within you. If you reach deep enough inside, you will always have the strength inside of you to kick ass and get what you want. And you deserve it. And you have to believe that you deserve it. Like, if you don't, then no, it's going to be very difficult to do that. It's very simple. Like, I can inspire people to do better. I can inspire them to, study harder and show them what the outcomes are. I can't motivate people. You can't motivate somebody to do something that they don't want to do. So you have to want to do that. And that's what I tell many of my clients. Like, they're not always in severe, dire um, presence of time, right? But they all want to accomplish something. Like, I want to have more sales. I want to have a successful business. I want to have a better relationship. I want to have, I want to save more money. Like, these are things that everybody is capable of doing. And these are the steps that you have to do that. And it's going to be hard. So once you decide, like, okay, I can deal with hard, then that's half the battle. Like, you just keep going and push through it, right? That's what I would tell people. Like, you have to first believe in yourself. You have to believe that you have the ability to do that, because nobody else can do it for you, right? And you have to believe that you can go through any obstacle and get around it, right? So that's what I think.
Nobody can do it for you. We have to do
No,
it for ourselves. You can get the information, you can get the strategies, you can get the support, you can get
yeah,
somebody to sit
all the
beside
help in the
you
world,
and
right?
cheer you on, but nobody can do
Yeah,
it for you. Kevin, but I would really like you, because of the topic that you brought up, to speak to somebody who has forgotten their greatness. You described that we've all gone through stuff. We've all experienced our own life challenges, setbacks, battles. Why is it that the bad stuff sticks more with us? Like, and all the strengths and resilience and overcoming and resetting and restarting and rebuilding and relearning, it evaporates so quickly. But the bad stuff tend to stick with some people because, for example, and also, why do some people get to a crossroads like you did and decided, right, I'm going to make this chapter here a big comeback and I'm going to show you. And somebody else might choose, I'm going to go and drink, I'm going to go and do drugs, I'm going to go and be promiscuous. What is the difference that makes the difference?
the difference is believing what somebody else says, right? So for example, if you're at that crossroad, like, my stepfather believed that I was a loser, that I wasn't capable of doing anything, that I would amount to nothing, that I wasn't going to finish school, that I was just going to be a bum, right? And I decided, when I was at that point, I could very easily have gone to that route and just gone and, you know, started begging on the street, or, getting involved in drugs and alcohol. And I never did any of that when I was at that age. Like, drugs and alcohol were not in my purview at all, right? Which is incredibly unusual. But in my brother's life, very high amount of drugs and alcohol. So that you know definitely not something I want to get involved in. But that was my choice. So I had the choice of doing that, or I had the choice of saying, fuck you. I will not be the person that you say I'm going to be. And I don't care what I have to do to prove you wrong, but I'm going to prove you wrong, because I believe in myself and I believe I'm worth more. You have to have value of yourself. Like, you have to have your own. set of values and beliefs. And, a really important thing that I think, people don't understand the value in assessing your life and keeping track of your life. So like a thing as simple as journaling, like if you chose to journal your life like every day and did something every day, and you found yourself at a point where, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. All you have to do is flip a couple of pages back and find some remarkable thing that you've done. And that in itself would be, your encouragement, right? And understanding that you can do that. So for those people that can't don't have that or feel that they don't have that, my suggestion to them is always, you know, do an audit of your life
Mm.
and then write out, what just write out your life as if you were telling somebody the entire story. And don't do it with the intention of finding the amazing things that you've done. Just tell your story and then go back and look at the amazing things that you've done, because you'll be surprised that at how many things that you've overcome. Like, the majority of people in their lifetime come across a death, right? In their family or friends, some accident or whatever. Many people overcome severe illness, um, cancer, heart, all of those things, right?
Wow.
You go definitely, many people go through relationship issues, right? You fall in
Heartbreak.
love, heartbreak, like, yeah, like, when that happens, you think like there's nothing, no, nothing on earth that could be worse than that. Um, so everybody does that. But then when you look at it and you think like, oh my God, at the time, yes, I thought I would never survive. I would
Mm.
never get past that. And then you did. And then you look at the things like, how did you get past that? Like, when did you decide that, you're going to get up and go out and start talking to people again, or meet new people again, or allow yourself to feel those experiences again, those kinds of things, right? So doing a life audit and reviewing what you've done is going to give you that that look of what you've accomplished and what you've done, and then it'll make you realize that you are capable of overcoming a lot of obstacles that you didn't think you were capable of doing. Because a lot of people go through stuff and they get to the other side of it and don't realize just how much they actually did to get there, right? So
Really valuable insight. Thank you for sharing that, Kevin.
thank you.
Um, you've you're really a testament of how perseverance and determination and having focus and clarity and your own sense of uh, identity can make a difference, irrespective of where you come from, what you've come from, the circumstances that life has thrown at you. I'd love for you to speak to somebody who's struggling with parenting, right? Because you talked about reading a few chapters back, keeping journaling, making an inventory of who
Mhm.
you are. But parenting, particularly when you're parenting teenage children, can come with such unique challenges that
Yeah.
a lot of parents get to a point where they think, I can't do this anymore, right? We both coach parents who get to a
Hmm.
place where this is so hard, but I have to find the perseverance and the determination to survive it.
Yeah.
What are the most basic coping mechanisms that they can do?
Running away.
Because
I'm
our children can test us in the way
Yeah,
that it is their time to test. They have to
yeah.
grow, they have to make their own decisions, they have to make their own mistakes, even they have to find their way. Talk to parents who are struggling on perseverance around parenting,
Okay, so
especially when they think that they're doing their best that they can.
yeah, uh, we all know parenting doesn't come with a workbook or instructions, right? Which makes it even more difficult. And we also know, you could be a perfect parent and have the worst experience, right? And you could be the worst parent and have the best kid. Like, there is no, I don't believe, I remember people saying like, don't allow your kids to hang out with those people. I mean, within reason, that makes sense. Like, definitely, I don't want my kids hanging around with, badass people or whatever. But it's not going to matter. It really, it does make a difference in the sense that, you're exposed to other people. But in relation to teenagers and hormones and everything that they go through, those kids have to experiment, experience, and understand how they function. And as hard as that is for a parent, you have to let them, you have to allow them to have some of those freedoms, right? Um, the best thing, and unfortunately, I learned a lot of my parenting skills later than during, right? Which I think a lot of parents do. Um, so I think what's incredibly important, and I felt that I did a fairly good job on this, was communication and ensuring that your children feel that they have an open and comfortable place to talk about whatever it is that they need to talk about without judgment, which is incredibly difficult for a parent to do, right? But if they know that they can come to you and talk to, like, I want to talk to you about marijuana. I want to talk to you about alcohol. I want to talk to you about sex. I want to talk to you about STDs. I want to talk to you about, what it's like to be pregnant. Like a lot of people, mothers and but right, like exactly right. My kid wants to talk to me about being pregnant. Like, why are you talking to me about being pregnant? Like, you immediately jump to like, why are you asking me this question? Because you think it's something that you have to worry about right now, right? So it's that kind of thing, though. But you have to have the ability to allow your children to do that, and that I think is probably one of the most difficult things for parents is to eliminate the judgment of what you think your child is doing and trust them, right? To do the right thing. And if they don't do the right thing and there's going to be a consequence, sometimes you have to let them see that consequence, but be there to catch them when they fall or whatever and say, like, this is, it's like, this is in the simplest form. So your kid goes to the fridge to get some juice. They try and pull this, like, to them, 40-pound jug of juice and they spill it all over the floor. And then you're standing there and you're just like, all you want to do is scream, like, what are you doing? Like, why didn't you just ask? Right. So instead of doing that, like, you could say, okay, so what, why do you think that happened? Like, what do you think you did wrong that caused you to spill that? Like, is it because you picked it up wrong? Is it because you should have asked for some help? Is it because it was too big and you thought you could handle it? So let's try and let's see what works for you, right? Like, maybe if I put some juice in a smaller container, maybe if you just ask, right, I can help you, whatever. So just it's how you approach it and how you deal with it, right? Like, I'll tell you another story that was,
More like coaching than parenting, Kevin.
pardon me.
That sounded more like coaching than parenting.
Well, parenting kind of is coaching,
It
right?
is.
It's teaching your kids how to manage situations and develop skill sets to do it on their own, right? Like, there's tons of different things that happen to you as a parent and put you on the brink of all emotional ability, right? So I think, again, perseverance, right? Knowing that you're going to get through it, but also knowing that you have to change as they change because you can't have the same attitude about your toddler as you do about your 16-year-old. Because if you do, you're just heading for disaster, right? Like, you have to grow with your children, and being a parent is an entirely growing experience already, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was a helpful response, but
Oh, it absolutely was. It's explaining how perseverance, even in the parenting role, is the key to successful outcome.
yeah.
I'll just add a little bit to that, though. I'm also able to persevere with patience,
Hmm.
patience with myself, that I don't have to have all the answers, I don't have to have it figured out, and patience with the idea that I'm also an observer of my children. They are human beings in their own right, having their own experiences, and whatever outcome that they produce with their life is no bearing or judgment of me, because very often I think we try to exercise more control than be an observer of
Yeah.
our children's behaviors, because we think, what are other people going to say? We're
Yeah.
so afraid of being judged based on how our children behave. But it's such a different mindset shift when you provide them all the tools and all the wisdom and all the values and all of it, and just take a small step back and watch what
Yeah.
happens. How they are actually really more capable, and they've learned a lot more, and they remember a lot more things that we taught them than we believe is possible. So we don't have to be always in
Yeah.
control of every move. It's about control as well, just letting go and
Yeah.
trusting, like you said, that they'll do the right thing.
I think that's
So
important to remember because when, like, I know with my kids now, they're older and they're, things that occurred when they were younger and things like that. And I'm just like, I can't believe that they are not going to like take anything with them from me. Like they're not going to. And now, constantly I'm in shock at what they remember, what they implement, what they do. So, the thing is, it's amazing because you think that you're not getting through to them at all, but it's just they're not ready to implement the things that you have for them because they're still growing and learning and experiencing, right? Um, so it's with my previous partner, we had a daughter, and she was like the biggest slob in the world, and we were horrified because we thought like, how can this happen when we are not like that at all? And we live in a beautiful home and everything, and she's a pig, like literally, right? Like I couldn't believe
messy, messy, or lazy, all of
both,
it.
I think. But then when she was in university and we went to visit her, and she said they were, for the first day that we were there, they were all away on a trip, and she gave us the code, and she said, stay at the apartment, right? Because there was a we went in, it was spotless. And then, like, on the fridge was this list of chores written in our daughter's handwriting. And I'm just like, this is unbelievable. Like, how could this even happen? Right. But it's just
See,
like, it
while under
was
your roof, she didn't have to do it, but on her own, she learned to do
exactly right.
it.
So there you go. Kids always learn.
Uh, because I know you're such a sportsman, and you've always had the discipline to exercise. What is the perseverance, even after your heart surgery, that keeps you taking care of yourself and back in the gym?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that cause people to do that. One, you know, aging and health, like just in general, like you want to try and take care of yourself because doing physical activity as you get older is obviously better. Um, I think it was very important for me to not victimize myself because of my surgery and not and to like initially because it happened during COVID, so you didn't get any of that rehabilitation stuff after. So I did go through a period of time when I was literally like just kind of hunched over and stuff because the way things healed and I didn't have the proper physiotherapy and things like that. But I was determined once I was able to go somewhere. So I immediately found like an osteopath when that was opened up to me, and then a masseuse and a chiropractor, and I kind of got myself back into shape. But just for me, I force myself to go to the gym a lot because I generally can talk myself out of it. Like it's very easy for me to talk myself out of it because I'm like, oh, whatever, I'll do tomorrow. But I force myself to do it because I know it's good for me. And I know like mentally it's good for me and physically it's good for
Yes.
me. So I persevere through it, right? And then sometimes even when I go to the gym, even when I'm sitting there and I'm starting a workout, I'm like, I'm just gonna do this and then I'm gonna go. Right. But I push myself through it and to make sure I do it because I know that I feel 100 times better when I do that, right? And that's like you will feel 100 times better physically for going to the gym. You'll feel 100 times better mentally for tackling that challenge that you've got sitting on your desk that you don't want to do. You'll feel 100 times better for making that one extra call when you said you were going to do 10 calls, but you do 11. You're going to feel like dynamite, right? Because that 11th call could be the one where that person says, yes, I'm going to do that, right? So it's always that one. Perseverance is taking that one step further, right? And just do it when you don't want to do it and you just, fuck, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then you just do it. And that's what happens. And if you talk to anyone who's successful and doing well, they will tell you that that is the key to doing one extra step, doing one thing more, or doing something for nothing, right? Helping people out. When we started coaching, it's very common to do a lot of coaching for free because you
Yeah.
don't have a reputation, you don't have the experience and stuff like that. So you can't, and you have nobody to say how good of a coach you are. So you have to do stuff for free, and you help people for nothing. Um, but you know, it's probably more valuable than getting paid sometimes because you learn so much from it, right? And again, perseverance is when you're coaching somebody for free and you give them the same quality coaching that you give somebody who's paying you your fee, right? That's that's key, is giving the same quality of service for free that you give. You can't do free forever because people can't live on free, but you know give people everything you've got no matter what. That's perseverance, right?
Abs- Absolutely, Kevin. Um, what I will say is that it sounds like you are who you are wherever you are. That 15-year-old version of yourself, that perseverance that you learned to inject in yourself
Mm-hmm.
is still inside of you. And how you do anything becomes how you do everything. How you fought through those early years with that perseverance and determination to make it is how you're fighting all the various chapters of your life
Yeah.
that's coming. And I think the idea of having perseverance is a trait that can be acquired, it's not natural. You have to
Mm-hmm.
decide, like you said, I'm going to do
Yeah.
one extra. I'm going to do it when I don't feel like it. I'm going to do it when I don't need to do it. I'm going to do it when I'm not getting paid for it. I'm going to do it when
Mm-hmm.
nobody's watching. Perseverance
Yes.
becomes a trait that you choose to have it inside of yourself. And it's also about raising your standards in life.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you decide that, okay, I'm a class A person, I want to be a class A student, I want to be a class A dad, whatever it is that,
Yeah.
that you set your standards to, your perseverance will meet you in accordance to where you've raised your standards. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
guys, I hope this was a useful conversation for you. Kevin, as always, thank you so much, my friend,
A
for your
pleasure.
incredible insights, wisdom, and your willingness to share your vulnerable story. We rise by lifting others, and storytelling and sharing our past is also an important part of that. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so honored to have witnessed your persevering story and to catch this chapter. And I'm excited to see where you go from here. But thank you,
Same.
everyone, for watching. And I hope this was useful. Bye for now.
Absolutely. Everybody have a great day. Take care.
Take care.